and Chirp One, Jim Montgomery, hired by the St. Louis Blues, but did he have this Blues job in the bag before getting fired by the Bruins? When asked about it, Jim Montgomery had no real comment on the timeline of what happened with the Blues. In his first press conference with Blues media, Montgomery says he doesn't want to get into the particulars of when Blues GM Doug Armstrong first reached out to him about coming to St. Louis. So, and then here was what Armstrong had to say about the hiring of Jim Montgomery.
When I talked to Drew today, I told him that, again, this was more of a decision based on the availability of someone I think is a top NHL coach, someone that we have experience with, someone, Lou, that I really do believe, can coach this team and also coach the team when it reaches its ultimate level of competitiveness. He's done that. He's worked with younger players in the USHL and in college. Good success in Dallas, good success in Boston. So he's one of those coaches that I really do believe can be with this team now and as it grows. And I think the proof of that is the 5-year commitment and what one of the things I think is the next part for Jim's career is to get that longevity in one spot. And I look at someone like John Cooper now. He's the standard bearer of what everyone wants to be, a competitive coach year in, year out, deals with different players, deals with players coming and going and finds a way to stay competitive. And that's Jim's next goal is to stay in St. Louis. And I hope it's for well over a decade. But we're going to start tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm not a big conspiracy theory guy, but this just kind of smells of, and we talked about it from the get-go about Jim Montgomery's body language and the fact that it just didn't seem like he was totally 100% into the thing, like he was kind of giving up. He even said, like, I don't have answers, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And it all kind of makes sense now. And I'm trying not to be a conspiracy guy, but you can't tell me that he didn't know this opportunity was coming.
Yeah, oh, he knew it was coming. There was if that doesn't scream tampering,
oh my God,
I don't know what does. Because why would you not want to get into the timeline of it unless the timeline was before you were fired?
Right.
That's the only reason why you wouldn't get into the timeline. Mm-hmm. It's because it happened while you still had a job with the Boston Bruins with your hands in your pockets playing with your fucking balls. Sorry, John.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why you didn't want to get into it. It's because and that's why your body language sucked. Is because you were dreaming of putting your fucking Blues sweatshirt back on.
Yep. Yep. And that's what happened.
So, I mean, all the people that screaming about, oh, Montgomery, whatever. Yeah, it wasn't his fault. It certainly was his fault.
But, and we said this
for another goddamn team. It sure was his fault.
I feel like we're some of the only people, and I I'm not going to get into we know everything, but I'm telling you, I feel like we're one of the only people who saw this and who knew that this was the case. Like this is why it's almost as much Montgomery's fault as anybody else, because he gave up on the team and the organization. He said, and now look, he may have the right reasons for it. Like they may have just sort of gone in a different direction, and he's standing there with the Schmenz in his hand and saying, I can't coach these guys. I don't coach this style. Fine. But you don't just basically set yourself up to get fired so you can take a 5-year contract 5 days later, with a team that you have a history with. It just is not, that's not okay. Now, the only thing I can think of in this is that the Bruins kind of knew this was happening. Like the Bruins were in on it too. That's all I can think of, is that because they're not making a big stink about it, I'm almost thinking like, okay, Jim, go find your gig, set yourself up, and then we'll let you go. That's all I can think of. Or this would be more of a story, more of a, they would make more of a stink about it.
I don't know if they would. I just feel like people don't really file the tampering charges. Like, everybody's like everybody else's best friend,
right?
Like nobody signs anybody to offer sheets, even though you can, and that's an avenue that people should like. They've been like what 4 offer sheets signed in the last 20 years.
Yeah, no, there's no ruffling of the feathers because you're going to want to get it in return.
No, everybody's like best friends with everybody else. And I'm sure tampering happens all the time behind the scenes.
Sure.
But it was just Montgomery's body language and frankly, unprofessionalism that, you know, really stuck out to me towards the end there.
Yeah.
Because he didn't handle it the right way. Like,
no, he didn't.
Why didn't he just say, you know, I resign. I don't want the job anymore. Or, you know, still try to actually coach. And then, you know, I don't know. I just feel like he could have handled it differently. Because it's a bad look. It's a bad look on him if he behaved that way, trying to force his way out of town.
We said this. We smelled this. Like he just looked like he was a defeated guy that kind of just gave up. Like it all looked like that, and I just can't believe someone can do that. I mean, it just looked like he did. Like he gave up on the whole situation. He knew he didn't want to sign. He was turning down the offers. Now, it's been reported by Ty Anderson and others that it was a 3-year offer from the Bruins. Okay, fine. But that's probably from the Bruins like we don't know what you can do here, which I don't blame the Bruins for going 3 years and not going 5. Like, I don't blame the Bruins because he blew a first-round series with a wagon of a team and then lost the next year. And then this year's team starts out of the gate really slow. So I don't blame them. I can't believe they gave him an offer, to be honest with you. Like, I am stunned that they gave him an offer because it just didn't seem like they were ready to move on with him.
Yeah, producer Connor brings up a good point. Sweeney and Armstrong are co-GMing or GMing together the 2026 Olympic team.
Telling you. That do you mean to tell me that's not brought up? I mean,
it's probably brought up.
It's not brought up. It's probably like, hey, how's the team doing? Oh, it's doing kind of shitty, and we don't know if we're going to move on with Montgomery. Well, we'll take him. You know, just fire him, and we'll sign him. You know, in a week. Okay. Like, to me, I think that's definitely. I think that Sweeney knew this was all. I think the Bruins knew this whole thing. Now, I don't understand why they waited 20 games and almost sacrificed a season like for it and put their team in like this. Why did the team respond the way they did? Because they probably knew something was up. Like they kind of gave up and weren't giving max effort and were really down and confidence really low because you can sense your coach is not invested. Like, all of that plays a factor. Why would you do that if you're the Bruins? Why would you risk like losing a season over dicking around with that? Why would you do that?
I mean, I've said it all along that I thought, you know, going into the season, it should have either been extension or fired or, you know, let go, whatever. Like, extend him or don't bring him back. Like, if you were that worried about it, if that concerned about it, if you weren't going to come up with, you know, a contract that both sides wanted, you know, if Montgomery's saying 5 years, I mean, who knows when the Blues reached out to him? Maybe the Blues reached out to him in the offseason. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe.
But
I don't know.
I feel like it should have been something that happened already. And the fact that the Bruins waited this long and let it get to the point that it got to, you know, I didn't love that. And I don't really love the fact that the way that it all went down. I just don't. Producer Connor says came out this week that Monty was offered multiple contracts and he declined them all, which then led to his firing. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know if that's true. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if Montgomery is kind of, this is the way out. Like, well, you know, Montgomery's saying, okay, you guys can say you offer me contracts and I decline if you just let me, you know, sign my deal with the Blues and let me out of it. Like, maybe it's all like just a one big inside job. Like maybe it's just all just
I mean,
everybody
maybe.
in cahoots.
I mean, it could be. It could be like, we'll let you go if we can save face by saying we offered you deals and you can.
Right. You said no, and it makes it look like
no.
you've gone, which you want to leave.
Yeah,
and then you go to St. Louis and it's all done. Like maybe that's it. Maybe that's why there's no bad, but there's really been no bad mouthing too. Because usually when someone leaves, like the Bruins plant some stuff.
Oh yeah.
On the way out, there's been none of that. So I'm thinking that they just came to an agreement and said, okay, you want to go to the Blues, fine. We're gonna say we offered you XYZ. You turned it down. Okay. And Jim said, fine. So I'm thinking that's might have been what happened in the grand scheme of things.